become. Yet you were the one who created this version of me, because monsters are not born, they are made. And tonight, I'm going to tell you exactly how. There was a time when I would have apologized. I would have lowered my head, blamed myself, and searched for every possible reason to justify the pain you caused me. I would have convinced myself that maybe I wasn't enough, maybe I loved too much, maybe I trusted too easily, maybe I expected too much from people who had never intended to stay, but not anymore. Because somewhere along the way, something inside me died. And before you judge what I have become, before you point your fingers and call me cold, distant, or heartless, ask yourself one question. Who created this version of me? Because monsters are not born, they are made. Slowly, patiently, painfully. No one wakes up one morning and decides to stop trusting people. No one chooses to become emotionally distant overnight. No one willingly trades kindness for caution. Something happens. Someone leaves. Someone lies. Someone betrays. Someone breaks promises they swore they would keep. And with every betrayal, another piece of innocence disappears. That is how it begins. Not with hatred, but with heartbreak. I remember who I used to be. Do you? I used to believe in people. I used to believe that loyalty still existed. I believed that if you loved someone sincerely, they would value that love. I believed honesty mattered. I believed kindness would eventually be returned. I was wrong, terribly wrong, because the world has a strange habit of taking the purest hearts and testing them until there is almost nothing left. At first, I ignored the signs, the lies, the disrespect, the empty promises. I kept forgiving. I kept understanding. I kept giving people chances they had never earned, because that was who I was. I saw good in everyone, even when they gave me every reason not to. And perhaps that was my greatest mistake. I believed people would treat me the way I treated them. But life does not work like that. Some people enter your life only to teach you painful lessons. Some people arrive disguised as blessings but leave behind destruction. And the worst part? They rarely apologize. They move on. They sleep peacefully, while you stay awake at night, replaying every conversation, wondering what you did wrong. You question yourself. You question your worth. You question whether you were ever enough. Days pass. Weeks pass. Months pass. Yet the wounds remain, invisible, silent, but very real. And slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to change. You stop opening up. You stop explaining yourself. You stop expecting people to stay. You stop trusting words, because words once destroyed you. People notice the change immediately. You've changed. You've become cold. You're not the same anymore. Of course I'm not. How could I be? Fire changes everything it touches. Pain changes people. Betrayal changes people. Abandonment changes people. You cannot repeatedly wound someone and expect them to remain soft forever. Every scar leaves a mark. Every disappointment builds another wall. And eventually those walls become stronger than the person hiding behind them. But let me tell you something. The version of me standing here today is not weak. This version was forged in suffering. Every sleepless night strengthened me. Every betrayal educated me. Every heartbreak transformed me. The pain that was meant to destroy me became my greatest teacher. I learned that loyalty should be earned, not freely given. I learned that boundaries are necessary. I learned that not everyone deserves access to your heart. Most importantly, I learned that self-respect is more valuable than approval. You see, there was a time when losing people terrified me. Now, losing myself terrifies me more. Because I know what it costs to rebuild yourself after being broken. And rebuilding is not beautiful. people romanticize healing. They imagine it as a peaceful journey, filled with inspirational quotes and quiet mornings. Reality is very different. Healing is ugly. Healing means facing memories you desperately tried to bury. Healing means accepting that some people will never regret hurting you. Healing means understanding that closure does not always come from others. Sometimes, closure comes from accepting that the apology you deserve may never arrive. That realization changes everything. Because once you stop waiting for apologies, you take your power back. You stop living in the past. You stop giving your pain permission to control your future. You begin to move forward. And that is exactly what I did. I moved forward. Not because I forgot. Not because the scars disappeared. But because I refused to allow my suffering to define my entire existence. Still, there is something people fail to understand. Strength often looks like coldness from the outside. People who benefited from your kindness will call your boundaries selfish. People who manipulated you will call your awareness paranoia. 4. People who took advantage of your loyalty will call your independence arrogance. Do not listen, because the same people who complain about your transformation often played a role in creating it. They miss the version of you they could control. They miss the version that tolerated disrespect. They miss the version that sacrificed everything for everyone else. But that person no longer exists. And honestly, that is a good thing, because surviving requires change. Imagine touching fire for the first time. You get burned. The second time, you are careful. After enough burns, you stop touching fire completely. That is not cruelty. That is wisdom. Yet society expects people to remain endlessly forgiving, endlessly understanding, endlessly available. Human beings are not built that way. Even the strongest hearts have limits. Mine certainly did. There came a moment when something inside me finally said, enough. Enough apologizing for things that were not my fault. Enough chasing people who never valued me. Enough sacrificing my peace for temporary acceptance. Enough allowing others to decide my worth. That moment changed everything. For the first time in my life I chose myself. And surprisingly that decision offended many people. Because people become uncomfortable when you stop accepting less than you deserve. They become angry when you stop tolerating disrespect. They become threatened when you finally recognize your value. But their discomfort is not my responsibility. My responsibility is protecting my peace. And peace has become sacred to me. Because I know what chaos feels like. I know what betrayal feels like. I know what it means to cry in silence while pretending to be okay. I know what it feels like to carry invisible battles nobody else sees. Perhaps you know that feeling too. Maybe that is why you are listening to this right now. Maybe you also feel misunderstood. Maybe people accuse you of changing. Maybe they fail to understand the wars you survived. If so, hear me carefully. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are not difficult to love. You simply survived experiences that changed you. And survival always leaves scars. Never be ashamed of those scars. They are evidence that you endured. Evidence that you survived days you thought would destroy you. Evidence that despite everything, you are still here. And being here matters. More than you realize. Because your story is not over. Pain may have changed you, but it does not have to define you forever. Yes, protect yourself. Yes, set boundaries. Yes, walk away from those who repeatedly hurt you. But do not allow your pain to completely harden your heart. Because becoming stronger does not require becoming cruel. You can remain kind without becoming naive. You can remain loving without abandoning yourself. You can trust again while still being wise. That balance is true strength. Not revenge. Not hatred. Not bitterness. True strength is refusing to become the very thing that once hurt you. I am no longer seeking revenge. Revenge is exhausting. What I seek now is peace. Peace in knowing my worth. Peace in walking away from disrespect. Peace in choosing myself. Peace in understanding that not everyone is meant to stay. And perhaps that is the greatest victory of all. So no, I will not apologize for the person I have become. I survived. I adapted. I grew. And if my scars, boundaries, and strength make me appear like a monster in someone's eyes, then so be it. Because I would rather be called a monster than return to being someone's victim. If this message resonated with you, if life has changed you, if you have survived battles nobody knows about, then write "I survived" in the comments below. Your story matters. Your scars matter. And you are not alone. Subscribe for more videos that speak to the battles we fight in silence. Until next time, protect your peace, know your worth, and never apologize for surviving.